Hey everyone, welcome to the Noor Podcast. We are a talk show style podcast based in Lot 14 in Adelaide, and we are just a storytelling platform where we want to uncover people's masks that they put on in daily life. Come listen to us as we delve down into the stories of everyday people and talk about the accomplishments that they've had in their life. Let me introduce you to today's guest.
Hello, my name is Jomo. I am a rapper, songwriter, and producer from Adelaide.
Why don't you start off by giving a little introduction about what you do and kind of what you've gone through to get to the point where you are now?
So I'm right now someone who's I've started out in we have to go all the way back to 2021 when I was kind of I'm now gone out of home for a little while. I've had a little bit of freedom, and I wanted to get extra money alongside from the job I was doing, because it's hard to differentiate, because there was years of working in fast food and now jumping into the real nitty gritty of hospitality, like working in restaurants and stuff. So I started working at a few bars in the city, worked at Rocket, worked at EC's, and that's kind of where I was getting to just getting my feet into how nightlife is and how things sort of run. And I started out DJing then, because I think I remember there's one specific time where I was working at Cafe Primo, and I started there in the middle of 2020. I'm trying to just get my timelines right.
Yeah.
So
it can be looking back, the 20s kind of mixed together. So
yeah.
I get where you're coming from.
It was just a weird time in everyone's lives. But I remember I'd finished a shift one time and I just sat in my car and I just was when you just finish work, or maybe you get home, you sit in the car for a little bit, just you're just not ready to start the journey or get out, whatever. And I opened my phone and for the life of me, I can't remember what festival it was, but it started. It was when things were opening back up and they were slowly integrating festivals and freedom as such, and that
Freedom.
kind of into bringing our freedom back, literally. And I saw these DJs. They were, I just saw just footage of them from the videographers that they uploaded, and of them just having a good old time. So I was it's one of those where you think, what am I doing? I think kind of looking at what you do and looking at what other people do is not the healthiest thing. But at some point, we all have to have that kind of pivot to be okay, what's going to move? What's going to make me change what I'm going through? What's going to make me change my circumstances? So it ended up just
Do you hate your old life?
bits and pieces, because then you go back to younger years. It's you don't, you kind of see all the things, all the growing pains, literally the growing pains, but you don't look back on the good. If I look back in 2019, there was half the year where I was really, 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 I would damn near say depressed, but there was good things about that year as well. I felt if I were to go back, I'd do a lot of things differently with my time. But I would have gone into music way earlier. I kind of once I started moving up the rankings, I was kind of thinking, why didn't I start this before, when I feel music, or specifically hip hop, was kind of in its prime. It would have just been the time of my life. I wish I went out a lot more, after high school. Yeah, because I
Why
think
didn't you? Why didn't you?
Yeah. So I think you could probably relate to this as well, like having ethnic parents who are kind of very
sure. Yeah.
strict. So it's like, it was kind of like that because I didn't think they'd like let me out as much. And like I wasn't really earning a lot either. So it's like I'd kind of make a lot.
Expensive.
I was making a lot of I think I was making a lot of excuses for myself, if I'm being honest.
Maybe it wasn't simple.
It wasn't. It's like it's like, other people kind of made it work. And like all my friends then were kind of inviting me out then. And
could you explain what you think you would have gained by going out more?
I probably would have come out of my shell a lot sooner. I probably would have had more, I guess, how do I say it? Like, I think, I don't want to say street smart, but like, yeah, I kind of know more about the world. Because like, I felt like very sheltered in a sense. But
it's some good advice and there's a lot of people in that boat, the ones with the strict ethnic parents.
Yeah.
Kind of stay home.
You kind of have to be crafty about it in a sense.
Yeah. And you really don't appreciate it until you do get out. It's like, damn, I should have done this earlier. I do relate to that. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like,
you can't learn it from a book.
You can't.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny because I started going out like literally a couple months before like the whole world just shut down. And then I started like, I think I remember one specific time, like, I think I was playing Modern Warfare with a couple friends, and I think they said they were going out for karaoke or something. So I was like, oh, I'm not really doing anything later. I was like, hey, can I join? They're like, oh, yeah, why not? So I go out with them, and it was a good old time. The next time went to Big Window. Rest in peace, Big Window. Rest in peace, Miss Jackson. That was like easily the best nights of my life going there. And it was just so fun. And I realized, oh, this is amazing. Why didn't I do this sooner? And then, the world just shut down. And then and then I was like, all right, well, now things are opening back up. Let me just like start whiling now. This is kind of like my time when other people are kind of just like slowing down a bit.
Yeah.
And I think kind of doing it later, I think the downside to it is like kind of making your mistakes later in a sense. I think there's things that I kind of, I don't know, there's like kind of no easy way to say this, but there's like things I kind of just look back and think, I guess was a lot of regret at that time. And I look back on 2020. 2020 is like it wasn't a horrible year for me personally. And that's not taking away anything from anyone really. Like, it was a hard time for a lot of people with debt, with people just not being able to cope with everything. But for me, it was a great time for discovery for the good and bad. I started looking to I think I unlocked a different part of my brain. It's just like, I'm just ready to do anything, everything. And I don't even care what happens to me. I do not care. So began little things like experimenting, like even just dyeing my hair certain colors. I dyed my hair pink.
Right. Why not? Why not, right?
I just thought, why not?
Well, how did your parents take that?
They weren't too bad with it at first.
Oh.
They were a lot worse with my septum piercing, funny enough.
Yeah.
Mom gave me shit for it for months. 2 months. 2 months exactly, but it was a hard time. And then I think once they start to see you just become more edgier, they accept it.
Yeah.
So
I can't relate with that part, but yeah.
Yeah. they just kind of accept it. It's a weird thing. So then
so you were saying you were in hospitality before?
Yeah, and I was even still, I've been mostly in that space.
Yeah. And so when did you start experimenting with music?
2021. I think that's when I started production. I took lessons.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I took lessons for Ableton lessons. So that kind of gave me the basics to kind of learn it and learn how to make music. I did that on and off, and then didn't really get back to doing it consistently till like later last year. And that's when I really like put my skills to good use. But yeah, once I tried to level up in something, I just didn't want to just be this. I didn't just want to be a DJ. Okay, I'll learn production. Well, I kind of want to like do more now. So let's dive into songwriting. You know, there was always a catalyst for something. Because like not last year, 2022. Well, shit, this time 2 years ago, I felt like very hard done by a lot of things and people. And then I decided that was kind of like, all right, let me just try my own thing. Let me start writing my own music and just see how this goes. I have no expectations. I want to see how far I can take this, which is just my natural like curiosity to everything. It's like, how far can I take this? But there's also a downside to it, because it's like, what if I get to a point where I'm just like, I don't have enough to give to it, or it feels like too much work. Yeah.
Where do you find the motivation to write songs? Like, how do you know what to write about?
It was, I'm trying to think, because then if it sounds very cliche, but if you're kind of going through something, or something is just like burning your soul, like for me when I first started, the first 6 months, the first 6 months was like, kind of like a generational creativity run. Like
What do you mean by that?
It was just like, I couldn't write ideas if I tried.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's just like I felt very inspired by whatever beat I had, and luckily I had a lot of support early. Like I had people that wanted to like send me stuff, and I got like very inspired by that, and I kind of was able to write my songs in a way that was honest and also kind of odd. So it kind of fell into this happy marriage of like alternative hip hop, which I don't listen to a lot of. I listen to a lot of mainstream stuff, I think. But it's just how I was able to kind of express myself in a way. Because you might listen to a few things and it's like, I don't know if it's gonna age well. And you kind of think, I feel like the average listener might think, oh, this is kind of like odd. But like for me, odd is good.
Yeah, right.
So,
who's your audience?
My audience, that's a hard thing, because it's like I love a lot of different things and I want to try different things. I was thinking the other day, it's so hard for me to market as an artist, because it's like, you know, what if I can't say like my audience is large really. It's just if I want to do this type of song, or maybe I have the bug to do, you know, this type of style.
I guess they don't follow your music, they follow you.
Yeah, and it's like, if you support me and like me as a person, that's how I've like always said. It's like, if you like what I do, if you like me as a person, and you just like what I do, by all means, that's kind of who support me, and that's, I guess, my audience by default, right?
What's been your biggest achievement that you've had so far in your career?
2023 hip hop artists of the year.
Oh wow! How did you get nominated for that? Like who nominated you?
I was a finalist.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I think because you can either nominate people can nominate you, or you can just do yourself. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's just try it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's just do it. So it took some time, filled in the form, and I think it was like a couple months later, I checked my emails, and it said it was just from one of the people that worked for SA Music, and it said I think the subject was just nomination, an attachment. I'm like, okay, let's see how this is. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It didn't really, like, in the moment, I was just numb.
Yeah.
I didn't feel excitement.
Yeah.
Until, like, 2 weeks later. It's so weird, right?
Yeah.
You think it'd just be straight away, but, like, it was really, like, a while, because I digested that. And I was like, yo, this is cool. It meant more because last year was incredibly difficult. I definitely, without saying too much, definitely hit rock bottom. And I guess my mentality throughout the year was like, okay, if music is doing well, then so be it. But like, you know, I didn't want, but now my mentality is different. Like, I don't want my life to fall apart and music to be doing well. I would rather try to keep balance, right?
Yeah, that's important. Because work-life balance is not only for the office, it's for all kind of areas.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, I want to work on keeping my spaces clean. I want to work on the things I have to work on during work. I want to be able to still train after work with MMA gym I train at now. So
so good. How has that getting that award changed things for you?
Well, I unfortunately didn't win it, but
oh yes, right.
I was a finalist. I was even more happy being a finalist. Really, I was like, yo, that's
what all the finalists
say. That was crazy. That was wild. I think it put things to perspective because it's like, okay, now I'm in a bunch. Now I'm in a group of these people. Now I know where I stand. There was a lot of people better than I am that probably deserved to be in the position I was. Like 100%, I'll own that. Like, but to be recognized and to even just be there, I was like, you know what? Maybe I do belong here, because you know, I felt like from going through things I kind of had to go through, and to get that was like, in a way, like, you know, it was still the lane. It was amazing. It was just something to kind of, you know, ease the pain a bit. Yeah. And
what motivates you on the daily to keep going, to keep creating music?
There's no motivation really. It's just like, okay, now I'm at a point where music as such has taken a backseat, as ironic as that is. Like, if I can release one song a month, I'm meeting a quota, that's fine. Because if I'm being honest, I still want to make it back to the ceremony this year. Like, I'd be very, very stoked to get nominated a second time, and whether I win or should make those songs, I don't really care. It's just to show, hey, it wasn't really a fluke, you know? And so, you know, actually, now, I guess to answer your question directly to that, it's just like to make it back again. Because like, you want to have something to prove that, you want to have some evidence to show, to back that why do I deserve this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've kind of learned the last couple months, is like, okay, you need to have like evidence of something. You know, evidence to show that you deserve this. You know, someone says, oh, why do you deserve this? Or, you know, they try and like diminish you or try and undermine you. It's just like, well, I've done this. I have something to show for it.
How has it been coming out as an artist to like your friends, and have you found a lot of support? Your family?
Craziest thing was recently my family being more supportive of it. Literally just recently. Because I don't really go around saying like, oh, I'm honest, whatever. I'm just me, really. I think a lot of artists can kind of relate to that. It's just like something, they see themselves as just like regular people, and it's like it's something they do. They want to get to that level, but there's a way they perceive themselves. And so with music, I think at some point I had to be transparent about what was kind of going on with me. And they were surprisingly supportive of it. I didn't really tell them like at first because it's like it's got nothing to do with work or anything. It doesn't have. It's like it's not important. I didn't think they cared. I didn't know anyone cared. So I was like, alright, cool.
You didn't tell them you go to finals?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I was worried about telling them the result because like I'd be seen as like a disappointment.
Yeah, of course.
So, but
I mean, even that you were put up against this, like you said, that's a good achievement, especially your first year out there, right?
yeah, it was like now I think the ceremony was in October, if not wrong. So almost a year since releasing my first project. I knew like released my first project. So I started writing music in the June 2022 and released it in 5th of December. That's like 11 songs project written release because I was like that determined like how to get this out.
Yeah.
Because it's the way I saw it, right?
When did you apply for this? When did you apply for this? After you released it?
Yeah. So here's how I kind of looked at it when I got into music, right? It's kind of like it's like music and business go hand in hand, right? So I looked at like, okay, these are the people that are doing well in Adelaide. Okay, what's their activity like? What's their release schedule like? How many songs are in their projects? All right, they release a lot of EPs. Cool, I'll release a whole full project. They're releasing songs when they feel like it. I'll do it every second week if I can. It's just like it's just knowing that you'd be surprised like with the mindset of, seeing yourself as someone who will outwork the competition. I'll say like it's friendly competition. Like, I don't dislike anybody like that are my peers. It's just.
How have you found that like the your peers, like the music scene in Adelaide?
I don't have too many bad things to say, really. I mean, it's Adelaide, sometimes you can get clicky. There's no complaint I can think of right now.
But like good things? Like, are you in the clique?
I mean, no, I've always seen myself as kind of like on the outside looking in. So like, but there are a lot of artists who are just down to earth and want to just do their best and kind of get out there.
Yeah, we've interviewed a lot of artists in Adelaide so far here, and it's the same thing. It's the same vibe I get, where everyone's just very down to earth, and everyone wants all of Adelaide to succeed, and everyone wants to succeed. And there's definitely a abundance mindset of like, there's enough use there for everyone, there's enough lessons there for everyone, they'll do well, which is good. And I like the strategy of not just doing it when you like it, instead of doing it on a structured basis, and how that's different from most people. I don't see that.
It's just like, this is maybe a very, 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 very loose observation, but once I was starting to put out more frequently, the artists I kind of met, I don't know if it was by coincidence, like their activity started like kind of going up. I'm like, Nah, I was like, nah, it's nothing. I'm getting ahead of myself. But a good friend of mine, myself, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
But high school.
Yeah, there you go. And also Dylan Wright, who probably the most talented people in music I've probably ever met. It's like they were kind of seeing what I was doing, and they were kind of thinking to themselves, well, we need to do more as well. They're probably gonna look at this clip and think like, what is this guy saying? He's just so up himself. But I'm just reporting on what I've been told, and that's very, very motivating, because like if people that are more talented than I am like see what I'm doing and kind of like get a kick out of that, then
So
it's all I can do really.
yeah. How do you compare Adelaide to the other cities in Australia, and even Australia to the rest of the world, and what you do? Do you feel like you have a disadvantage?
Here's what I think about being an artist in Australia. I feel like let's say you get, I feel like what determines whether you get like popular or not, or get radio plays, if like this, let's use it today, it's like they like you, they like your stuff, I feel like the presenters hold a lot of power. So like if you're getting in the rotation a lot, then people hear it. The right people hear it. Next thing you know, you have things booked, you have events booked, you have maybe sponsorship deals, you might even have a tour. The exposure is everything. So once it starts off like, all right, I'm making music in my bedroom, I'm gonna put it on Triple J on Earth, I'm gonna hope for the best. It gets played, it gets frequent airplay, and the right people hear it, get connected with the right people who can put you in a position to take your music far.
That's right. Is that what it was, as I mentioned, that's right? Have you been
Unfortunately not.
I see.
But that's an observation.
Yes.
I can only call it from how I see it. Now, I could be wrong. I could be bashed for having that opinion, but that's kind of how I see it.
Sure.
But here's the problem, like you get that sort of popularity, I wonder what your chances are of breaking into the bigger market, because like I've noticed like big artists in Australia are kind of big here, kind of like I feel like there's very few that we've seen crack the market, and the only reason bigger market, and that's only because they decided to go overseas. So
that's right, yeah.
I feel like once you have something that resonates with US audience, and then you go there and you work your way up, once you're big there,
yeah,
pretty much big everywhere.
It's interesting. I mean, like, it's interesting how the entertainment industry is so different from other parts where you do definitely have to go to the US and make it big. A lot of times that's what's worked. Whereas like I've heard a lot in other industries, like more in business and personal brand stuff, like Adelaide is actually a really good spot to grow, because you can know everyone, and everyone's just one conversation away or one person away. You can grow very quickly here and then go out and do and work. But I guess it's different because I'm talking about like working in companies, right? You can grow very quickly out there and then move. But entertainment is different because it's all that exposure, and how many people know you and listen to you, like you said. No, that's good. What kind of where do people find your stuff?
I'm mostly just all streaming services, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music.
Yeah, so good. We'll link all of that in the description so if anyone wants to go listen to anything. Is there anything that you're working on at the moment? Anything big coming up for you?
Nothing. Nothing massive. I'll be honest. I wouldn't say big things coming. There's nothing really significant. But also to kind of touch on what you just said as well. kind of like networking in Adelaide, because I think that's a very, very important topic. I would say this is how I kind of went about it, right? It's like, all right, I've made this product, I've made this song. Okay, now what's the next step? Well, I want to start getting respect from my peers and people in the space. Cool, that happened. It's like, okay, now I've gotten some respect amongst them and I've kind of known them, see, let's try and get some airplay going. So fortunately with Fresh 90.7's Fresh on the Block program, I got some airplay. That's good.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great program for up-and-coming artists to kind of get this stuff, like, which is awesome. Didn't quite crack Triple J, which is fine. It sounds like I have some beef with it. It sounds like I have grievances, but really, like, again, I'm not owed anything. You know, my time will come. And so it's a great mindset, because then you don't really like attach your mind to I need to achieve this. But yeah, right, get some airplay, get some exposure, and then try and get on playlisting again. Haven't quite checked that box in terms of like editorials, but you know, again, something that kind of has to take time. And then the next kind of step is to now what this kind of like it's kind of wrapped up in everything I said, like the exposure like around the country. So obviously that involves airplay, playlisting and such. And then the next thing is big market. There's little steps. It's just trying to eat the elephant bit by bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how I see it. And now I'm currently still at a level where I'm just recognized as stabilized.
Yeah. Are you part of the label already? No. Is that a decision you made, or do you want to be part of the label?
I mean, if an offer were to come and it made sense, absolutely. Like, you know, being independent is great, but a major label coming up and saying like, hey, we want to, you know, we want to pay you basically. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Yeah. And you know, it's probably not guaranteed to be a great deal if we're being honest, but it's something just like, you know, is this going to help me? Because, you know, the way the labels are, they're just ache, right? They give you money, they give you the resources, and you have to make all that back with the music that you make. And they get a cut of certain things that either from the ventures you or like whatever you bring.
Yeah, we talked to we had a chat with Sasha and that's where I learned like the business side of using like when you go to the labels that you do, it's just like it's like a loan that they give you.
Yeah, pretty much is you can get fucked over like 360 deals as well, which are like pretty nasty things to get into.
What is that?
360 deal, how do I explain it? I know the kind of like the basis of it. It's pretty much like them learning the sources and then you kind of like having to give it back, and it's just like one.
Oh, sure.
It's a very loose explain. I probably didn't explain it well.
Yeah, that's what you mean about 360, so it has to come back.
Yeah, it has to come back sometime.
Yeah.
Say if it doesn't, you know, you have to recoup, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you have? Obviously, you don't have anything coming out at the moment, like short term in terms of your music, but what like have you set goals for yourself in terms of what you want to achieve, and where you want to be in the future? Like, is there anything that you are striving for? I mean, other than being on the the award again this year.
At some point, yeah, do get on the always.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. and the
It's Triple J nationwide. Yeah, right. So we also do like exposure out of the state as well.
And because it's a weird sort of dynamic, because then a band that started last week could literally get the song from you. Like they get a whole ass like process saying, hey, this is premiering at this time, which is wild. It's an interesting thing. I'm trying to not try and bite the hand that may or may not feed me, but it's almost niche in a way. The way they want to curate the music. It's like, okay, I feel like, for example, I have one song called Jamarang, which I felt, me personally, it could get like there's no reason why it's not. I feel like it fits to what they're looking for, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not generic. It was the song that I kind of didn't really think too much about when I wrote it, but you know, a lot of people seem to gravitate towards it.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
So that's the only for us to say where you write an album or a bunch of songs and you think this is the one that's going to be well. And you put it out and people like believe it wrong and say, really, this one?
It's so weird. It could be a song that absolutely hate as well. So it's like, what do you do? You
Yeah.
sort of film it if it's special, if it's a big audience.
Yeah, I went to a listening party for a friend of mine who just visited me last week. And it was the same case where like everyone's favorite song was the one song that she didn't even prepare to sing on those songs because it was too high. She's like, I hate this song. Everyone loves it. It's like, yeah, people, you can never tell like what the market wants. The bottom line is to put stuff out there so you don't have to try to learn. Realize who's your market, right?
That's what it really, because like, I felt like I kind of understood the psychology of kind of like how a local artist kind of works.
Mm.
It's like, oh, I don't want to put this song out, like, I don't know if it's going to do well. They just have all this doubt, and I just had conviction of like, I don't really care, this song's going to shine tomorrow if I put it up. I'm not going to lose my job, I'm not going to, like, nothing is going, I have nothing to lose. If you play like someone that doesn't have anything to lose,
Yeah. Sounds like that event that happened after COVID where you kind of went out. It sounds like your risk appetite just switched to like accepting and doing more without the risk, not worrying about what's gonna happen and not worrying so much about what it is, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, at that point it doesn't even feel like a risk, it's just like, it's just doing what I can to kind of stand out and show like, hey, I'm not afraid to put this out.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how it's going to sound. It's like, it's not life and death at the end of the day, it's just, it's your art.
Yeah. You did say something earlier, which was like a regret that you had, which was not obviously going out as much. Is there any other pieces of advice you would maybe give yourself if you could go back and maybe picture yourself straight out of it all, or like straight becoming an adult essentially? Like, how could you better prepare yourself for what adulthood could be?
Don't be naive. Like, don't be close-minded, especially with, I look at my taste in music and just my overall taste in everything. It was just very, just don't be naive. It's like, I put your mind up to different things. Like, for example, like, when I started uni in 2018, my good friend, Pat, we used to like hang out a lot, we became good friends, and in his car he would always play like a lot of like alternative indie rock. Which at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I vibe with it, but a valuable lesson that I was taught by my dad was like, it's whatever music is played in the car, just respect it, don't say nothing, it's their car, just leave it. So following that advice, then we having a very broad music, I started listening to it. And he always used to have like, he had a lot of small brothers, but he had like one big like 1,000+ song playlist with like just, and it's just all like indie rock type stuff. And soon enough I started like listening to this stuff. and then listen. Then I built my own 1,000 song playlist, and then we kind of like talked more. We could kind of relate a bit more because like we liked the same kind of sports and everything. We studied the same subject. Just like now, it's like
you know things just right.
Yeah, and he had like at the time he had like Smashing Pumpkin CDs in his car. And I was like, that's interesting. He's just like, he asked like, oh, do you know? I don't know really. It's like, oh, like they were like a massive band in the 90s, and like now being a bit more educated and like music in general, it's like, I really miss that. So,
do you feel like music was better back then?
Like back in the 90s?
Like, do you feel like music is getting better or worse as we get into the future? Especially with AI as well. Like, I know the AI is making music as well.
I feel like in the 90s was amazing, and we still had great music after that. I personally think, I don't know if TikTok has really like, it's kind of just been just pushing to a thing where it's like determine what gets played on the radio. It's done a lot for like up and coming artists who were probably just working at Macca's yesterday and now like stars. And even like with other artists that were obscure, or maybe they were popular at a certain time, the song gets popular, and then now they're making bread, and now they're relevant again.
Yeah.
It's such a weird situation where it works in someone's favor and then sometimes diminishes the quality of it because artists now thinking, I'm guilty of this as well. It's like, is this good for TikTok? Is this good for short form content?
Rather than just putting out
I feel like music had to be good when we put it out.
Yeah. And I feel like back in the day, music could build. I feel like that the amount of time you have to build to something good is so far shorter.
Yeah.
You know, like 30-second attention spans, you gotta rap, you gotta hook it in.
It's just like,
all the way.
And now artists are frustrated because they have to be content creators as well, which is unfortunate because it's like, you know, some people are not really content creators like that. That was like left to YouTubers at one point or like whatever, like, in that kind of space. And now it's like an artist feels like you're telling me I have to do all this work just to get seen and heard.
Yeah.
Like it was already hard before. You had to like. I feel like it was hard in the sense you had to make it really good, and you kind of had to like need to find that exposure. I mean, exposure is there, but like, you know, if you're working on, let's say a music video and you want to make reels out of it, and then it doesn't do well, it's like, well, I just wasted $2,000 of my own money. Obviously, you can make content for like in the cheap way possible. I could use like time, but you know, it's kind of like you're doing it in the hopes of exposure, not hoping that, like, I don't know. There's not good motivation behind making music.
Yeah, I get it. No, it's tough.
So previously in our conversation, you alluded to the fact that during that time throughout COVID, and I don't know, it feels like you almost had like a journey of self-discovery of like who you were, and you had to take some time to like, I don't know, I feel like when you're growing up, at least my journey has been until I hit a certain age, you're imitating people around you and you're just imitating the people that you look up to until you have to figure out who you actually are, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe that's something that you went through. And something that's been in the media a lot recently is like men's mental health and how important it is and how often it can be overlooked. You know, we're just told to be strong and we have so much expectation on us, but there's just no room to fall, you know? So yeah, and you did allude a little bit to your own journey and process. So what if we take some time to just break that down a little bit? If you're comfortable just to share what you went through and how that was for you. And more importantly, like, it's not about hearing a sob story. It's about hearing how you got through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hearing how you're able to overcome it. Because you look good now. And like, you seem happy and you seem, more importantly, satisfied. And you seem content. But it wasn't always the case like that. So yeah, what was your story on that point of view? And how was your journey?
So I guess with me, right, since me and my family came here in 2012, I think I kind of just wanted to settle in and kind of be accepted, you know? And I guess it wasn't too much of an issue at first, but then when high school rolls around, it's like I had this thing where I needed to, like, I knew in my head, like, I knew, like, I didn't want to just be a nobody, right? The problem with that is, like, you kind of do, like, just certain things for attention, right? And, you know, slowly, you kind of just, like, you kind of, yeah, because you want to know where you fit in society, right? You want to know what your place is. And, you know, I moved schools, like, 3 times in high school. So, like, my first one was like, yeah, it was just me just trying to get attention. Second one was like slowly kind of got my bearings, because, like, I don't know if it's just the situations or I was kind of in, or just my environment or whatever, but, like, generally I'm like I was more introverted in a sense. Like, I wasn't super, like, vibrant or can just talk. I was still very much coming out of my shell. For a long time, I felt like I was trying to come out of my shell and just talk comfortably like we are, like right now. That took a long time to just comfortably talk to people. And so...
what made you want to come out? Like, initially, what was the thing that pushed you out?
I don't know. I think it was just... I don't want to... Is necessity the right word? Because it's like... I kind of just had to. It's like you have to, like, just be confident, just... Period. As a man. You know, it's just without confidence, like who's going to believe in you at that point?
Yeah. You're the first person that you have to believe in yourself first before anyone else does, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't really see how important that is until a lot later in life. It's crazy how, like, there's things we get told and kind of know, but we don't really...
No, it's just when you go through it.
Yeah, when, you know, after some time you can see their perspective. You know,
how could your childhood have been different so that it would have been easier for you when you got to that age?
I don't know, because I wouldn't change anything.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I wouldn't change a lot, because, like, so I think to go back to, you know, day 0, me and my sister were born in the States. We lived there for some time, then moved to my home country of Kenya. And it was just, when we moved to Kenya, it was me, my sister, and my mum. So Dad just stayed back for reasons I just haven't asked even to this day. I don't really care. That was then, like, right? And yeah, so I guess maybe not having my dad around for my formative years may or may not have, like, contributed, like, how I kind of turned out. Because then, like, it's like kind of moving to a different country and, like, now being reunited with, like, someone who's just, like, now become a teenager. It's just like, that's going to be, like, there's always going to be, like, you won't really mesh, right? It's like,
it's a tough time to come here.
There's, like, an awkwardness.
Yeah.
There's, like, he's kind of figuring out like, why am I doing certain things the way I do it? Like, this thing is just not making sense. The math is just not mathing here. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And so that awkwardness, the problem is it didn't go away at all.
Yeah, right.
At all. Can you imagine that? I'm 25 now. I just turned 25.
Yeah, right.
It's still there. Imagine it's a bit more comfortable now, but like those years missed were just like, I think made all the difference.
I think awkwardness is such an interesting point of view. A little bit about myself, and something that like I only realized very recently. Like growing up, you can obviously tell I'm quite social. I'm quite extroverted. I'm good at talking. That's why I do a podcast, right? But so from my early years, I've always been very good at talking. I've always been very social. And like when I go into a space with a room full of people, my immediate, like I want to entertain, I want to make people laugh. I want to be the center of attention.
You could talk to anyone.
Yeah, that was me, right? But then growing up, I always felt people that were quiet and had their own cliques, or like just like sometimes you would just be around people and they were really like quiet, or they wouldn't say much to you. And it just felt awkward. But when you're a kid, you assume everything is your fault. Like you assume if something is happening to you by someone else that's not normal, it's probably because of you. Like you're doing something wrong. Yep. Like kids always blame themselves. That's like a natural thing. And so my whole life, I always thought it was something about me. Like, oh, maybe they didn't like me. That's why they didn't talk to me like as friendly as they could have. Or maybe it's usually just that, or maybe like, I wasn't funny or I wasn't interesting, something like that. And I ended up like, I know in my childhood, I was friends with a lot of girls, a lot more than guys. I just found it so much easier to talk to girls. It was just so much like our conversations were better. Not in any like relationship sort of way. It was just as friends. Like I just had heaps of friends that were girls. Later on only I realized the reason for this is it wasn't me. It's just that teenage guys are really awkward. Most of them. And they just don't know how to talk to people.
You don't know how to act.
I was the abnormal one. It's just that I had the skill of talking where I go to a group of guys and they're all just like kind of sit there and like they don't talk.
We're just a strange species altogether.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the way we communicate with each other is just kind of, it's just abysmal sometimes. It's even worse.
Better with time. Like I think growing into adulthood, like you said, it's a necessity, right? You can't just be quiet. Because if you're quiet, you realize that, no one cares, no one listens if you're just quiet.
Yeah.
You have to make a noise to exist.
The world can't adapt around you, can't revolve around you. Sometimes you just gotta, it's like me and you play chess. We just sit here like this whole fucking time.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
No, exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly. That's a good analogy, right? No, that was definitely a turning point for me. So you're the other end of it where you just, it's good that you realize at least. And I think it doesn't really go away. Like even with how social I am, I can talk to people when I go to a networking event where there's 100 people that I don't know, when I'm going to talk in front of, 50 people for an hour, whatever the case may be, I'm still very nervous, right? And honestly, talking in front of people is a lot easier.
It'd be a problem if you weren't.
What was that?
It'd be a problem if you weren't.
Yeah, right. But honestly though, talking in front of people, like no fear at all. Like I've gotten over that. I can do that with my eyes closed. Not a problem. Being part of a crowd is what scares me. Like, because that innate need in myself to like get attention, it's a lot harder to get attention when you're just one of 100 than when you are 100 people looking at you. You already have the attention. You have the control. And so going to like a networking event where no one knows me always freaks me out. And I feel awkward. And like what I always do is like my phone is poison. I cannot touch my phone. That's the first rule, right?
Don't go on the weather app.
Do not, don't, that, good one, right? I've always also had like just making conversation, and for the longest time, I like hated small talk, but now I've grown to realize like small talk is a skill. Like if you're good at small talk, it doesn't feel like small talk, even though it is. You should be able to like have a 30-second chat with me, introduce myself, have a great time in 30 seconds, and then just move on to the next person and introduce yourself. Like that's a skill that you need to learn. You can't just ignore that. I used to think, the best way is to just go straight to someone and talk to them like you already know them, right? It is a good idea if you want to talk to them for the whole night and like that's who you want to be with. But I've learned like if you want to like meet everyone, it doesn't work. You have to introduce yourself, but you just got to be interesting. You just got to be bold and like and not be awkward. It's so hard. I feel you, but I think you're doing a good job. I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
And the more you do, the better you get. So, and like from the podcast experience as well, the other big thing I realized is like we've had episodes where, we go for an hour talking. Everything of the tone of that episode and how it goes and how people talk and how relaxed they are, it all comes down to about the first 10 seconds, right? Of the cameras go on, and it's about how I, the host, like start the conversation. If I start it in a very like strict way, it's like, hi, good to meet you, right? The whole next hour is going to be in the same tone. If I start it very bubbly and positively and like I smile and I make you feel comfortable, then it's going to be relaxed. I can get you to open up for the whole hour. But it's first impressions are everything. And that's another thing to take away. It's like you want to be like over exaggeratingly like optimistic, charismatic. You need some riz, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And they'll remember you and they'll be like, oh yeah, that guy, But yeah, awkwardness is a tough one. And I don't think it's talked about enough. But it's okay to be awkward.
It absolutely is. Like, I feel like I have a funny thing, the way I described how I learned to network. See, in the space I'm in, right, I guess networking so like when I was like starting out with DJing, it's obviously in the space of like bars, clubs, etc. What's at bars and clubs? Alcohol.
Right.
The funny thing is like you get that liquid courage a little bit, which obviously eases tension. You do it so much, it becomes like muscle memory. Like you can do it just like when you just like had a glass of water to drink all night. You build those skills and then you've already built maybe some comfortability with that person anyway. So like the way I kind of network as well, it's like I'm just kind of looking around the room. I'm just like, there's like something interesting about this certain person. Let me ask them about it. And then the conversation starts there because it's like they feel seen and heard almost.
Yes. I've been doing the same thing. Like starting off with a compliment is so good.
Yes.
I'll always go to someone and be like, I love your outfit. Like, where'd you get that from? Like, you look really good.
No one's going to see it as disingenuous.
No, exactly. No, it's true though. Like, I genuinely do. Like you said, you look out for that positive thing and you just go and do it. No.
Having said that, it's like someone could have like the most, like, just like they look like they have zero or nothing, and they might carry some like wealth of knowledge or something they can give you. So it's like, it's almost a double-edged sword in a sense because like, all right, you've gone for this shiny thing, but you've missed out.
That's true.
But you never really know. You can't kick yourself over that.
You can't go for all the like opportunities that are in front of you. You got to pick.
What makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, with that, that's kind of how, like I think networking becomes sort of a thing where it became easy for me. And that's like someone who was just not really good socially a few years ago. There's this book out that you will probably know, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Love it. Good book.
It's a great book. The funny thing is, like, I got to maybe halfway through the book and I'm like, I kind of do all this already.
Yeah.
It's not saying you can't pick anything out, but like, it's how to do the things I'm doing a lot better. The
book's a really good book, and it does tell you a lot of skills to how to do that. But I think the secret is you have to put yourself in a place where you can use those skills. You can know all of this. You can memorize the whole book and then sit in your room all day.
Yeah, it would just be like, paralysis by analysis at that point. Exactly. So like you kind of have to go out and make your own mistakes at that point too. Like go in, go to the event, talk to people, and just put yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to try and get somewhere, then it's what you kind of have to do. I'm kind of more relaxed with it now. Like if I go somewhere, I just want to just vibe and just chill out. Not really looking to leverage any skills or anything. I'm just like kind of there.
Yeah.
So I'm not as intense as I was with it, like kind of getting in. But I think once you start out, that's super important because like you build that foundation of like, all right, I know what works, I know what doesn't.
I guess that's something I'm learning to do now. It's like just going there and existing. And like you don't have to try so hard. Sometimes it's okay.
Sometimes it's just like things just come to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think now it's like maybe you might get to that point where it's, you just chilling, you're just floating. But I think if you're going to a networking event specifically, like I think you just got to like, just shoot your shot almost. Like just try as much as you can.
Yeah, and go to a lot of networking events. And like it's like I heard this thing recently. It's like if you're going up for like 4 interviews, make sure you do the one that you don't want to get first, so you can like make the most mistakes. So it's like you only get better.
That's just the sample size for it. Right? It's just like, all right, I learned from this. Let's do these other 3 as well as I can.
Exactly. Look, that it's been a great chat. I'll ask last question, which have you seen a full episode before? Have you seen a full episode before?
I haven't been able to sit down. I have to look at Shibani's though. Like that's done wonders for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's been good on Instagram. No, it's good. We still haven't had a guest that's watched a full episode, which is good. So you don't know what the last question is going to be. But essentially, I just want to know who's kind of been a local role model for you in your life. And the reason we say local is because we want to, this podcast is all about people taking their masks off, right? In society, we're always constantly around people in real life all the time, and we put on a personality or we put on a mask of who we want everyone to see us as. And we want to show how much the people around us actually do influence us and how much the people that we see on the daily basis that we learn from, right? Rather than the people that are online. Because everyone's going to see people online and you all have a shared experience there. But what's unique to you is the people that's in your day-to-day life. Who's been a big influence to you and a role model to you in your life personally that you maybe would like to thank?
That's probably the deepest question I've heard this whole time, because it's like, you're right, like we look at people at a bigger scale to kind of give us influence, but like I would say I look at, this might sound like a cliche answer, but the way my parents kind of do business, right? I kind of found myself translating the same things they kind of did with their networking and being a people's person into music, because I might have applied the same energy with them, for their business, but I did it towards mine. So I think it helped me come in with a different mindset coming into this world of the creative space, where people kind of want to stay within their circles and not really like branch out, not really like take the road less traveled. But I think with my mindset, that kind of helped me to break through and do the things I did at the rate that I did, I think understanding that I feel like there's two things that make the world go round. I feel like there's psychology of people and business. So I feel like you learn one or two, or just like both. I think you have the tools to kind of like live a prosperous life. I think. No one can really like mess with you. No one can try and take advantage of you if you know those certain things. If you know how people work and you know how business works, I feel like you'll get very far.
Yeah. So, and going from how business works is really just how the world works. Because the world is business. And what is business, right? Business is just creating mutual relationships where you add value to each other.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be with money. It can be with like resources. It can be with opportunities. It can be with anything. So yeah, and then knowing how people, I think it goes very hand in hand because businesses are people, right? They're not robots. They're not programs. They're literally just people. That's just how you talk to them.
It's funny. It's like going back to it's a Walking Dead reference where Negan says people are a resource, which is like, it can be a good and bad thing depending on like if you're a psychopath or not. But people are, other people, whether in our spaces, are like valuable to us. And that's why we have to value our personal relationships a lot more.
Yeah. I think, look, it's funny because to someone that doesn't do business, it can come off as very selfish when you call someone valuable, like in your own life. It's like, if I'm saying the people around me are very valuable to me, it's true. But I think what's unsaid is like, and what's implied is that I also love providing value to other people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not just like I want them all to do stuff for me. It's also like, what can I do to help you and add value to you? So
that's kind of what I think. It's like, okay, like what can I do for other people as well? I think as we kind of talked about a couple months ago within music, I was prepared to, not even be accepted as an artist. If something of mine, a skill set of mine is valued, then so be it. This is just kind of where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, like being in music and trying to offer like some sort of value. But I think the value comes from, I guess the way I see it is from your skill set. Can you do vocal engineering for someone? Can you maybe help them, network with someone that can get them to a higher level? Can you, can you shoot their music video? Can you do this? And I guess that kind of makes, what we talked earlier, it's like adding more work for like artists because it's like, now artists have to do a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we need to provide as much value as we can.
Yeah.
We need to have as much knowledge of our our craft as possible so we can offer value. So if we don't do that, then we have a very short time frame in this little short span in career span, really.
Yeah. No, look, awesome. I really appreciate you coming down. I think we've had a good chat. I've learned a lot. I love your approach, at least to music, and how it's different from how I've heard other people do it. Because obviously, music can be very emotional and very, you don't know when inspiration strikes.
Yeah.
But also, I like the way that you've added that more functional side to it, where you want to stick to a schedule and you want to have a process. And I think, especially when you're starting off, that really pays off and people see the work you put in. And I like that work. I can see that you're very ready to do the hard work, which is really cool. A huge thanks for coming on. I hope people enjoyed the episode and have learned a lot from you. So
yeah, I hope they can get something from it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.